Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. We're your hosts, Bull and P. Happy Saturday to everybody. And P, we just hit 5,000 subscribers. So, man, all praises and glory be to God. And, thank y'all to everybody for just, pitching in, sharing our videos, commenting, liking, all of that type of stuff. We're very, very thankful. And we're wanting to continue growing. And, that's the biggest thing for us is just to expand this channel as much as we possibly can. And continue to bring y'all the best content that we possibly can. So we are working on some things behind the scenes. I know we've kind of talked about that over the past few weeks or so, but it's still in the works, and we will be coming out publicly on the page and just letting y'all know what's going on. But for now, if you would like to just donate to the channel, I think that the best way to do that would be on Cash App. So I am going to have a little, somewhere probably I'm going to put it up in this area, okay, for the Cash App. Okay, so that would be a good way if you just want to help to support us, help us to grow. You can donate as little as $1 on Cash App, and YouTube kind of has some, I don't know, like set numbers that you can't go under. So I think that that's going to be best for everybody. And in today's video, P, we're just going to be talking about straight up football stuff, a whole lot for us to kind of cover and get to. One of the things that Deborah P did ask us to do was rank the SEC coaches. So we're going to be doing that at the end. But as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump to the video. All right, so the first topic of the day is going to be our dog G-Mac getting a new NIL deal with Leaf Trading Cards. This is a big deal, right? Because P, growing up, like we saw trading cards, like we used to have kids around and they would be like, man, look, I got such and such rookie card and all of that. So I think that it's a pretty big deal. And he's joining a few other, really prominent players. They're all quarterbacks. Nico is one of them. So I love to hear that. And then we also have DJ Lagway, who's the freshman at Florida. Juju Lewis, we know him from here in Georgia, and Caleb Williams. So it's a very small, finite group of really high-level quarterbacks that are projected to be first-round picks. But I think that this is a good look for, Leaf Trading Cards. It's a great look for GMAC. But P, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, you look at that group you just rattled off. Those are all either, Caleb Williams, obviously number one draft pick, and then, Nico, you got Lagway. I mean, these are all, these are all big time guys. Juju's a big time guy, and GMAC, we all know he's going to be a big time guy too. So, that comes doing a great job of identifying talent, identifying marketable guys. I think it speaks to the culture that we're building here. We talk about our NIL image, the way Heupel, this the whole program is able to go out here and get these guys that can be the face of a program, that can be appealing to these NIL sponsors or whatever you want to call them. I mean, I think that's a huge deal. And I think it's going to do well, man. I think it's a great move for them, and it's going to only help us in recruiting as well, I think.
Yeah, so you know what's something else, P, that I want to talk about? I feel like we talked about this before on the channel, and that's, certain states do not have state income taxes. And I feel like those states should do a lot better in getting these players these NIL deals, right? Like we should be able to close out on a lot more blue chip players because of that. And the states that do not have income tax, I actually wrote this down, is Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, obviously Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Wyoming, and Alaska. So, I mean, obviously Alaska doesn't have any teams. But just out of that, what you're talking about is Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. Those are really the states that I feel like should benefit a lot more whenever it comes to NIL. And we've heard all the things about, man, things are probably going to be trending more towards like a revenue sharing model. But even with that revenue sharing model, you still can get money off of your name, image, and likeness. So that's never going to fully go away. It might kind of take a backseat some, but it's never going to go away. But what do you think about that, Pete?
That's a great point when we do move to that revenue sharing model, because I think a lot of these kids, like I don't know anything about taxes, you know what I mean, until I got out and to really started working. Like a lot of kids aren't gonna really understand it, but I think when it's kind of a capped, NIL limit or whatever, okay, so we're gonna cap it at $5 million, whatever. Okay, well, $5 million in Georgia doesn't go as far as $5 million in Tennessee. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think this staff will start to be able to recruit to that, and you're right, man. I think it's gonna be huge for us going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it most definitely should be, but I don't understand why. And maybe it is something that the coaches and stuff are using behind the scenes, but we don't hear enough. I feel like media presence talking about that, and the reason for that is probably because they've got their schools and stuff that they want to try to keep at the top: Alabama, Georgia. But you know,
Yeah.
F them kids, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear nothing about them. All right, so let's go on ahead and switch gears. P, I talked some about EA Sports College Football 2025. Made a whole video on it, and I told, I gave everyone my thoughts, but I would like to hear your thoughts on what you saw from that trailer and what you think about the game.
You know, when I first saw the trailer, I kind of immediately had a negative feel. Like, I mean, I enjoyed seeing the coming out of the tunnel, the entrances. It seemed like, you had a college football feel to it, but then they showed the gameplay. And to my first thought was, man, this looks just like Madden. Like, it was like Madden that they just put college uniforms on these guys. But then, I kind of started reading up on and stuff. And like, I mean, they do have things in the game, something they call like Campus IQ or something, which I guess is like a piece of code or something that they're putting in there that's supposed to make the game feel more wide open and give it more of a college feel. Like if you remember back the old NCAA games, it's tough to really remember because it's been so long, but I feel like they felt it seemed like they felt different than Madden. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, no, it felt way different. Yeah, it was completely different. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that they're going to still bring that same flair. It's going to feel different than Madden. It's going to be its own unique game. So I mean, I'm getting excited about it. Like I'm more excited than I was. I never really played like online, like Dynasty mode, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they got the campus, the Dynasty modes online this year, which I think that's going to be crazy. I don't think they had that before. I think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
You're recruiting against other guys. Like, I mean, I think it's going to be really intense. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. So many pieces of it. They got the creative teams coming back. Excited about that. The graphics look good. I wish they would have given Tennessee a little more time in that trailer.
Yeah.
Maybe shots come out of the tee, but that's probably something. Hey, we can't give it all away. You know what I mean? Make these guys pay the money. They want to see the good stuff. They got to pay to play. So
right.
I'm excited, man. I think it's gonna be a big hit. And I'm already ready to call out. I'm already setting it up.
Oh yeah.
July 19th. Hey, I'm calling out. It's a Friday. I might call it that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that Monday, and really be able to hunker down and get a good start in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm also curious as to how the ratings are going to play out because I'm trying to think back. I feel like they didn't like really give high ratings. It was very rare that you saw like a 99 overall if it was a actual player. I mean, obviously, once you get into the dynasty modes and stuff, you can, kind of get players that will turn into that, or if you make a player, then they can turn into that. But just as far as regular players, it wasn't a ton of 99s around the country. And I'm trying to think back in 2014 who would have been that like premier player, and I can't even think off the top of my head.
So I was playing back then. Who was in there?
Who would have been like the best player in 2014?
So I'm trying to think. I mean, Todd Gurley was at Georgia at that time, around that time. Well, not 2014, but I think like 2013 he was there.
Okay.
Or maybe 2012, something like that. Trying to think who else. Cordell Patterson was at Tennessee during my time.
Yeah.
In Vandy. But he probably been 99. I don't know. I can't think of who the superstar was. Johnny Manziel was playing back then.
Oh, okay.
He was playing.
Dang, was he playing back then?
Yeah.
Man,
so he was playing
crazy.
He was playing in 2013 or 2014.
Okay. All right. So listen, I just brought up the top 50 players. I've got Jameis Winston. Okay. So he probably would have been good. Marcus Mariota at Oregon. He would have been really good. And then P, like you said, Todd Gurley was at number 3. Shalik Calhoun was the best defensive end, supposedly, from Michigan State. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know who he even is. Brett Hundley. Who else we got? Cedric Ogbuhe or something like that from Texas A&M, offensive tackle. Don't know where he's at. Vic Beasley, man. Vic Beasley, I think that he had like a 99 speed or he had something that was a 99. It was like his first step.
Wow.
But man, he's a guy that came to the daggone Falcons, and man, like that first season, or was it his first season or was it his second season? It was one season where I think he led the entire country in sacks, and man, then like he just kind of fills it out because he wanted to do some paintings and stuff. Like I saw him on the freaking news, and he's like, yeah, I'm more into painting now. I said, dude, listen, if you don't hang it up and go, you need to go paint then, bro. You can't really do both. Yeah, me. Yeah, man. But so anyway, those were good times, man.
But that is interesting though. The ratings, like I wonder how if you look at a team like Texas A&M, who, I mean, I don't think anyone's really picked them to go win the whole thing, but from a roster, like they probably got a bunch of guys that should be like 90, 95 plus type guys.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious to see how do they account for, okay, this guy's really, really good, but maybe this team's not, I don't know. Like it's gonna be interesting to see how they figure all that out.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's going to be really fun. But I'm thinking, right? I think that James Pierce should be the highest rated overall player. And really what they can do now is just go to like a Pro Football Focus and almost import what they have, maybe add a little bit of their own flair to it. But if they go off of those ratings, then it would be James Pierce. So if you have the highest rated player in the game, P, to your point, and like I said yesterday, they should be somewhere on the cover or they should be in the trailer a little bit more. But I would say that, the highest rated player on our team, obviously James Pierce. After that, who would you think the next highest player would be?
I mean, it's easy to just think Nico, but I mean, I think they're gonna try to get him like an 84 or something.
I was thinking that too. Yeah,
something like that. I don't know. I really don't know who they'd go. Probably maybe one of those interior D linemen, maybe. Maybe a big O. I think they're gonna put a big O up there, even though we might put in Elijah Simmons or maybe Omar Normalata ahead of him, but these guys don't know these guys like we know these guys. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, shoot, you know what? What about Brew? Because Brew's been kind of proven he's coming back. I mean, he should have a pretty high rating, I would think. He's played for such a long time.
Yeah.
You can talk about Cooper Mays, too.
Cooper Mays, yeah.
Yeah, Sprags is probably going to be pretty highly rated. I don't know if he's going to be – Sprags will probably be, I'm going to say high 80s or something. And he might not even be that high.
It's gonna be cool because you know how we get these guys Madden ratings. It's gonna be pretty cool. Like if these ratings are like, where we can actually refer to these and say, hey man, this guy's a freaking 75 overall.
Yeah.
Why we got Caleb Perry out here? He's got a 75. You know what I mean? Like, they really make it like that true to life. Yeah. We can really refer to it. That's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and flip the page here because we do have we've got some recruiting stuff to get to. Couple of notes right here. So Derek Meadows, P, that's the big 6'5", 4-star wide receiver from Bishop Garmin. Everyone was very excited whenever the staff was talking about bringing him up on campus for an official visit. But it sounds like the staff has decided to back out of that visit and cancel it because he's visiting like 7 other schools. So what do you think about that? Like, do you think that the staff made the right move with that, or do you think that maybe we should still bring him in?
I'll be honest. So I haven't seen his film, so I don't know, if he's a player worth, going that hard for. Yeah. But I get it. You know what I mean? Like, heck, we're to the point where we're pretty much handpicking the guys we want. Okay, and if you're gonna give us a run around, you're gonna do all this. You better gonna be that 5-star caliber guy. A David Sanders type guy or a guy that we really really think highly of. Yeah. So he must not fit that mold. So I respect the staff for saying, hey, like we're not gonna just be a, and maybe they kind of know the kid, just from talking to him, because some of these guys are all in it for the NIL, whatever. We want to get guys that are right culture that fit what we're trying to do, fit what we're trying to build. Not all about NIL. They're all about, this, that, and the third. Mm-hmm. Guys want to come in here and play football because those type of guys that come into your program, they're a cancer. And I don't want to say this to who the kid is. I'm just saying, maybe that's what they're thinking, And he's one of the right type of guy. So I respect the staff for it.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'm kind of I'm on the same page with you too, Pete. Just because, I mean, if you're taking 7 official visits, it sounds like you're probably going to some places just because you want to go on some trips. You want to see this part of the country. Right. And I mean, I get that, but the craziest thing now, P, is that it used to be that you could only take 5 official visits, but now you could take as many as you want. And he's the first one that I've seen that's actually taking more than 5. So I could see that, how that could be some sort of a red flag. But if I'm him, and if you're just taking visits just for the sake of, hey, I want to go somewhere, dude, pick one that's like somewhere tropical, right? Like go somewhere where you can really chill out at. So I feel like he kind of was interested in Tennessee. So, I hate to kind of play the fence with this one, but it's hard for me to necessarily, I guess, pick a very strong stance. But I will always defer to what this staff does because they understand football and, we know that. Now on to some more players that were supposed to be coming up on some official visits. The next one is going to be Andrew Babalola, who is a 5-star offensive tackle. He's from Kansas. He actually canceled his official visit to Tennessee. So it sounds like maybe he wants to, I think it's probably going to end up going to Oklahoma. He's right there, from Kansas, close to Oklahoma. That would make the most sense to me. Everyone keeps talking about how, man, they've got some offensive line problems. Offensive line is completely new. I didn't see that watching their spring game, but maybe that's what he's thinking. But P, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's a huge deal for this team moving forward?
So what you say he's a 5-star tackle?
5-star offensive tackle. And let me just say this. He wasn't really trending to Tennessee anyway. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I never felt like he was going to be a guy that was going to be coming to Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of those deals. I think the staff really kind of get to the point where they really want to focus their attention, and so these guys that are kind of wasting their time, and they may have, that's the thing. We only kind of see a part of the picture.
Yeah,
I know he canceled the visit, but maybe that's because we're kind of sending those type of messages to him. Like maybe he wasn't feeling the love because we got other guys who are prioritizing. He wasn't the guy that maybe we thought was the best fit, or like you said, we didn't really think that we had a great shot with him. So he kind of felt that we weren't really wanting him that bad. So he said, "Hey, I don't want to go there either." So I mean, I don't know, but I think we'll be fine. We got a plenty of offensive line targets this class, so I think we'll be fine.
Well, we're going to have to close out on him because, David Sanders, it sounds like, I mean, everything keeps on going back and forth, but they're saying, man, he's kind of trending more to the Buckeyes. But I think that's just because, that's where he's visited at the most recently. And I think he's got a visit coming up to Clemson here pretty soon. So we have to be hopeful, not careful, because we can't do anything about it. But we have to hope that he does not commit to Clemson whenever he goes, because you know how Dabo and them do. Once you come up on a visit, they're going to try to, hey, look, like we need for you to come here, and they're going to put that pressure on you. But for me, that would turn me off. I'd be like, listen, dude, I'm a 5-star. I already told you I'm going to take my time. Stop trying to pressure me into choosing a school. And then, we've also got Jalen Matthews that's supposed to be coming off the board here soon. I think at the beginning of next month. But, P, we do have somebody that's an offensive lineman. I think he could play guard or center, and that is Antoni Agamoro. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. But he's also, he's from Oklahoma. He's from the Midwest. But I think that Tennessee's in a really good spot with him. He's going to be announcing on May the 21st, which I believe is this upcoming Tuesday. But P, have you got a chance to watch this film?
Yeah, oh yeah, I like him a lot, man. Like I said, he's he just looks like a good athlete out there, moves around. I think he plays tackle on this film, but he's going to be an interior guy for us. I mean, seems like a type of guy you want on the field with you. Seems like a hard-nosed guy. And I mean, when he took his visit, how many weeks ago that was, it seemed like he really, really loved it. Seemed like he was ready to freaking commit then, but I think he wants to do his due diligence. I feel like he said something like that during the interview after the visit, something like something along the lines of something about we're not going to shut down, we're going to keep looking or something. But he was pretty much implying like he kind of had that thought of, man, I'm about to go and shut it down now. He's like, no, I got to go ahead and see everything. So I think we'll get him. We'll see, but he'll be a nice interior piece, especially losing Spraggins next year.
Yeah.
What's the guy? Jackson Lampley.
Jackson Lampley's gone. Yeah. I think Andre Carrick is probably gone too.
Carrick, and then even Cooper Mays too. So I'm a guy that could potentially plug inside or whatever will be helpful too. So
absolutely. So the next player that I want to talk about, kind of going back to the wide receiver, is Cam Sparks. I don't know what's going on there, but I haven't been hearing enough about what's going on, with us and him. But
I forget who that was he was trending to. It was somewhere. To me, when I hear him talk, it seems like he's kind of all over the place.
He is all over the place.
He's kind of similar to the first guy we talked about, that 6'5" receiver.
Yeah. Just
kind of a guy that wants to take all his freaking visits and, do all this stuff. Like, I kind of, I won't say I said, forget him, but I'm not even considering him, for one of our guys coming in.
Class. Well, I mean, shoot, it sounds like he's not really even considering us. And that, to me, that is a problem, because I get it. The staff wants to go out and find another big wide receiver, a big, tall wide receiver. But we don't know, and you know what? Let me not say that, because I don't know what the staff knows. But I don't get that vibe or that feeling with any of the players that we have left, that we're very sure that they're going to commit to our volunteers. So I don't get the whole, man, look, like we're going to shut it down with this player, or we're just going to give up on this player, especially with Cam Sparks, who I feel like could play almost anything, like offense, defense, special teams, 6'3", like 220 pounds, and he moves like that. Yeah. You know what? He actually puts me a lot in the mind of a guy like Wingo that went on to Texas. And I don't know if y'all got to see Texas's, their spring game, but he's going to be really freaking good. I mean, he came in college ready. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Cam Sparks could be the exact same way. And I would just hate to miss out on a player like that. Yeah, the wide receiver room is pretty deep, but we're going to be losing a lot of players, hopefully, to the draft next season, because you want for them to, play well. But, that's my whole thing right there. All right, so let's move on to a couple of other players, P. At Buford High School, I want to talk about the linebackers just because I feel like we have got to close out on at least one in this class. So Jaden Perlite, who is a 4-star, really on the brink of a 5-star, very special player. We talked about him a lot. He is going to be visiting our volunteers officially June the 14th. So that's really big. We kind of talked about, we knew that he was trying to get it set up. think that he is still trending to our Volunteers, but we've got to make sure that we close out on him. But P, what are your thoughts on Jaden?
Yeah, man, I like him a lot. He's actually a kid I used to train. I used to train him. I think he was like in 6th or 7th grade or something. He was already like tall. You know, he was like in 9th grade already. Good athlete, has a natural swag to him. Hard-nosed guy. I mean, plays hard, relentless type of guy. You know, and heck, we've seen this firsthand. If there's a fight break out in the field, he's coming off the daggum sideline first one to go jump in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So type of guy you want, long range athletic. What's he go, about 6'4"?
Yeah.
6'4", like 220, something like that. Yep. I mean, he's can cover, can tackle, like I said, physical, can rush. He's a guy I know you've been you've been around him a lot. You know, going back to the summer or you're going back to like last spring, something like that. He's a guy that we've been kind of feeling like he was leaning away from Georgia for a while.
Yeah. And
I think that you've been kind of putting a bug in his ear. I think we'll be able to get him come home on Rocky Top.
Yeah, hopefully so, man. Hopefully so. I'm just gonna keep on working on him. But yeah, he will be very special just because, as I kind of talked about before, I feel like he could play on all 3 levels of your defense. And yeah, he definitely just brings that grittiness and that hard nose. But there's another player that plays at the same position on the opposite side of Jaden, and his name is Kenyon Rivera. And Tennessee has offered him, but I think that he's very similar in his style of play, right? Like he's very close to a Jaden, and he's a 3-star now, but I think that at the end of the season, he's going to work himself up because I think he's going to have a huge season. And we've kind of looked at kind of broke down some of his film just from the spring. He's really special. And I know that when Coach Inge came to see Jaden, I don't think that he got a real shot to see Kenyon because he came like to an early morning walkthrough or something like that. And we got to do a much better job at that, coaches. I mean, we've got to come at times when, these guys are practicing at Buford High School. Buford, Milton, like you have to know the schools here in Georgia that they always have players. Don't just come and try to look at one player because every single class has new guys. So that's, if I have any knock on this staff, it would be that. But yeah, Kenyon is a name that I think that we need to be trying to close out on. And I feel like, if we turn that pressure up some, I think that he could be all Vol. Okay, he definitely likes Tennessee.
Yeah, he looks good, man. He's a guy. He pops out on film. He's a long, athletic guy. Looks like he's a bit raw in some aspects, but he can fly around the field. Once he gets coached up, like I said, he's another guy. What is he? He's going to be a junior this year.
He's a senior. Yeah, he's a senior. He's a rising senior.
He's a guy that like once he gets coached, I mean, he could take a huge jump. He could be, man, who's this 3-star guy? When he gets up to campus, who's this freaking 3-star guy finally making all these plays? Well, heck, that's a daggone 3-star guy that had the talent of a 4 or 5-star guy that's been coached up, and now all of a sudden he's making plays off the field. So yeah, he'd be a nice piece to add, especially considering we don't have any commits in this.
So we don't have any in this class. And when P is saying coach him up, he's talking about on the college level, right? Like because there's some things that we do in our system that you're not necessarily going to be doing at the high school level. And I mean, you could say that for Jaden too. I mean, it's going to be the exact same thing. So, but all those players coming from Buford, they're going to be very, very well coached, and they will come in ready to freaking rock and roll. All right, so let's go ahead and flip the page and let's talk about SEC coaches, right? Like we need to rank them. I'm going to start off at the number 16 spot, and I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to say Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. He's 9-27. Some people might say, well, Vanderbilt, it's hard to be successful there. Maybe it is, but P, you played there up under James Franklin, and y'all was good, so it can be done. And he has not gotten it done yet. He's going to have to get some things fixed, some things changed before I can move him up higher on this list. But P, what do you think? Who do you have at number 16?
Yeah, no, I agree. Not much to add there. Clark Lee, I mean, heck, what did you say, 9-27, whatever it is? I mean, heck, these guys lose every freaking game. I seen a freaking graphic the other day talking about SEC teams' home record the past like 5 years or whatever. Vandy's the only team in the entire league that has a losing record at home the past 5 years. So, yeah, Clark Lee for sure.
Unacceptable. All right, so at number 15, I've got Jeff Lebby. And, he was the OC at Ole Miss in 2020 to 2021 and at Oklahoma 2022, 2023. I think that, he's going to have a good offense. It's going to take him some time to get things moving. But, I think he's a pretty solid coach, but obviously he's very unproven. We'll see what he does down there at Mississippi State. P, who do you have at number 15?
Yeah, same thing. Jeff Levy as well. He hasn't been a head coach before. Been a good offensive mind. Oklahoma and Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. So this is and he was with Heupel too, UCF.
Mhm.
So this is excited to see what he can do as the guy. I think he'll be solid, but just unproven is why he's so low.
Yep. And at number 14, I've got Sam Pittman, P. 23 and 25 as a head coach. Now, we know that he's a really good offensive line coach. He was with Tennessee. He was with Georgia. So he does well there. But we'll see if they can kind of get things turned around now that they've got a new OC. Does it make a difference? I think that they actually have some talent. Everyone's kind of sleeping on Arkansas. But I think that they're going to have a pretty surprisingly good season. And I think that he's a good dude overall. I wish I could put him higher up on this list, but you just can't do it. Having a losing record, even if it is at Arkansas. Arkansas isn't like a Mississippi State, right? I mean, Arkansas, you can get some players in, you can win some freaking ball games. But who do you have at number 14?
14 for me is where we differ. I got daggum Shane Beamer. Okay, I got Beamer here. He's a guy. That. I mean, maybe it's because I don't like him, but I just feel like South Carolina, they're always going to be who they are. Middle of the road team or worse. And I feel like last year they were really terrible. If I remember certain correctly, I think they lost I think I won 4 or 5 games last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So having Spencer Rattler quarterback, anytime you have an NFL caliber QB, you should have more success than that. So, I'm just not impressed with him. I got Shane Beamer at 14.
Okay, so I actually like that one a lot, and I kind of wish that I would have had him a little bit lower on my list. But at number 13, I've got Billy Napier, and he's 51 and 26 as a head coach, but he's 11 and 14 at Florida. Now, I actually probably could have put him a little bit lower just because how are you not succeeding at Florida where you have all the resources to get into all the players? And, I just think that, man, Sunbelt Billy, right? I mean, his offensive scheme is just freaking, I mean, it's like high school level football to me. And, I mean, it's almost laughable that daggum, Tennessee lost to them. But anyway, who do you have at the number at the number 13 spot?
13, I got Sam Pittman here.
Okay.
I gave him the edge over Beamer just because I just feel like I think he's a better football coach. I mean, I think if I were to pick a freaking coach, I'd have to pick between Beamer and Pittman to be my coach. I'd pick Sam freaking Pittman. You know what I mean? So I think he's a good coach. I think he's kind of had some bad bounces, some close losses, things like that. But I think he'll turn around and have a good bounce back year this year.
Yeah, you know what? I actually like that too because if you look at it that way, then yeah, I would actually have Sam Pittman over Shane Beamer. But on this list, I do have Shane Beamer at number 12, 2018 as a head coach. I mean, like you said, P, I honestly just don't really like him at all. He's just kind of it's kind of a dork, kind of a nerd. I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't quite quantify it, but I don't trust him to ever win a national title. I mean, I don't think that he's ever going to win it as a head coach. I don't care if you could put him anywhere, right? With all the talent in the world, he's just never going to do it. And like you said, man, like whenever your team underperforms with the NFL level quarterback, that's on you, coach. But who do you have at this spot, P?
Right here. So this is where I got Sunbelt Billy. I got him coming at 12 here. I think, like I said, he struggled at Florida, but it's kind of weird. Like his team, like they've shown flashes, and so I think last year was his 3rd season. I think maybe
something like that. Yeah,
something like that. So I think we'll really know for sure this 4th year kind of who he really is. I think he's been trying to get his guys and get rid of the guys that weren't really part of the program. So we'll see kind of what he can do, but I gave him benefit of the doubt. I got him at 12 right here.
Okay, so for my next one, I'm actually going to flip-flop these two coaches. So I'm going to go at number 11, Brent Venables, who's 16 and 10 as a head coach, and he's 0-2 in bowl games. Now, whenever you're playing at Oklahoma, right, or whenever you're coaching at Oklahoma, plenty of talent out there, and the only team that you really have to face is Texas. And you can't, they've done a good job of beating them, but they lose to some teams they have had no business losing to over the past few seasons. I don't think he's a very good head coach. Now, he's a great mind on defense, but as a head coach, I don't feel very confident in what he's going to do. But we'll see coming up here in a few months what he does versus our Volunteers. P, who do you have at this spot?
So same thing. I got Venables here as well. A lot of same reasons you said. Hasn't really done much as a head coach. I know he's still relatively new to it, but I think he's obviously a solid coach. I mean, he's a defensive guy. I forget who his OC was at Oklahoma. I don't know if it was Jeff Levy, but they've had a good offense there. So he's done a good job of getting that side of the ball kind of under control. Now he needs to get his side of the ball, the defense, get those guys firing. But yeah, I think he's a middle of the road guy. So I got him at 11 right here.
All right, so for number 10, I just flipped him. I've got Mark Stoops. And the reason that I put Mark Stoops here is because he's been coaching at Kentucky for such a long time, 73-65, which is about 53%. I mean, that's obviously, that's not good enough. He's 4-4 in bowl games. But, I think that he's a pretty solid coach, right? Like, I think that he's going to have a team that, wins 7-8 ball games every single season, right? But can they ever get over that hump? I don't think so. But they will consistently win you 7 to 8 games. But who do you have at this spot?
I probably should have gone similar there with Stoops, but I went with Eli Drinkwitz.
Oh yeah, and smart move.
Similar to Shane. I mean, I don't like the guy for one thing, but I mean, two, like I just feel like he's like he hasn't shown me. I know his team was solid last year. People want to crown these guys, put them in tier 1 and all this bullcrap.
There's no way.
I mean, they're a fraudulent team, in my opinion. Go out here and do it next year before I even want to think about believing in you. Because I've watched Missouri play for the past however many years, and they're a freaking 6-7 win team. Okay, They ain't no team that does anything. And since he's been there, they still haven't done nothing. They had a historical season last year, whatever it was. Okay,
yeah, they did.
But I don't believe in that guy. I don't think he's a good X and O guy. I don't know how he gets players to come play for him. They must have a great NIL deal going on or something.
Yeah.
But I have no idea.
I don't know either. And I mean, we kind of talked about that too, but I don't want to get too far off topic, but yeah, like I wouldn't, if I had my choices of going anywhere, I want to go play for a coach that's not a daggum dork. And that's what he is. He is a dork and it's cringy. It's like looking at like, bro, like you're not even saying this stuff right. So yeah, I've actually got him at my next spot at number 9. Okay, so we just kind of, laid into him, but he is 40-22 as a head coach, 1-2 in bowls, and he's only 28-21 at Mizzou. So that's back to your point, P. This is a guy that's barely, winning over 500 at an SEC school, in an area where you should be able to get some good talent in. That's not good enough, and everyone keeps on trying to crown him. I've looked at a couple other lists, and he's like, top 5. I don't see that, man. He's just been very, very fortunate. The ball has bounced his way, and it only happens for them once every 4 to 5 seasons. So they just had their season last year. Do not be surprised if Missouri barely makes it to a bowl game, if they even make it to one. I've got them only winning. Well, they've got a very easy schedule too. So that's going to benefit them. But I don't even have them making it to the playoffs. But who do you have at this spot, Pete?
Yeah, so right here, we just flip-flopped. I got Mark Stoops here.
Yeah.
A lot of reasons you said. I mean, heck, he's gonna give you, he's gonna make a bowl. Okay, he's gonna give you your 6, maybe 7 wins. Maybe they'll win 8. But he's not gonna do anything more than that. And so for that reason, he's right where he belongs, right there in the middle of the pack.
Yep, absolutely. So next coach I have at number where are we at now, Pete? Well, next coach is going to be Brian Kelly. All right, so he's 283, 103, and 2 as a head coach, 20-7 at LSU, and he's 8-5 in bowl games. So this is a coach that, he's very much like, man, I'm going to get my team right there on the cusp of being able to win the championship, but we're never going to get there. That's what I think about Brian Kelly. He has a really good system, but something about his personality, I think, that just cannot get his teams over that edge. But who do you have at this spot, Pete?
Wow, that's that's gonna be a controversial take, and I do definitely see what you're saying there, because we've talked about him, and I probably should have the guts to put him that low, but I got him much higher on my list. I probably fell into victim of everybody else's list, but right here I got Mike Elko. Okay, I think a guy looked good at Duke. I mean, went out there, you can go to Duke and do it. We haven't seen him in SEC yet, so that's kind of why he's not higher. But if he can come in here and can translate what he did at Duke to A&M's roster, like we talked about earlier, one of the best rosters in the country. I mean, this guy could show up this list and be a top 3 type guy.
Yeah.
But I like the way he runs a tight ship. I like him a lot. So I got Mike Elko here at 8.
You know what? It's going to be interesting to see if I have Elko flip-flop with where you probably have Brian Kelly at. All right, so next coach that I have is Lane Kiffin. He's 94-49 as a head coach, 5-15 in the NFL. And then he is 34-15 at Ole Miss, 3-4 in bowl games. He reminds me a lot of a Brian Kelly. I think there's several coaches on this list that, will they ever be able to win a championship? Will they ever get over that hump? They're going to have really good teams. I like Kiffin's scheme. I like his personality. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I actually really like Lane Kiffin. You know what I mean? I think that Lane Kiffin really likes Tennessee too. But, I think that he maybe, if they can't get over the hump this season, I don't think that he's ever going to win a national title. And I don't see them doing it this year. So I can't put him higher up on this list. But who do you have at this number 7 spot?
Okay, I got kind of a Lane Kiffin 2.0, if you will. I got Hugh Freeze right here.
Oh yeah,
I like Hugh a lot, man. I think he's a good coach. Has had 2 seasons at Auburn. He's a guy like he's going to get up for those big games. Okay, when they go play Bama, when they go play Georgia, he's going to have his team ready to play. He's an X and O guy. He's a get the most out of the guys I got in the room guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot. I think he's gonna win one there at Auburn before it's all said and done, or at least have them up back to where they were, years ago. So I got Hugh Freeze here, man. I like Hugh a lot.
All right, so look, I have Hugh Freeze next on my list. Okay, so he is 80-54 as a head coach. 6-7 at Auburn, 5-3 in bowl games. Now, Hugh is, I would say, yes, kind of like a Lane Kiffin 2.0, but I think that he's a little bit closer to getting over that hump. One, because he's been coaching longer, he's a little bit older, but also just because of, I think that once he gets those players down there at Auburn, his scheme is almost impossible to beat. We're talking about him beating Nick Saban, back in his prime, back when everyone was, really, really, like, no one could beat Nick Saban. He's doing that. A freaking Ole Miss, which is unheard of. And, Lane Kiffin can't, he never beat Saban while he was there at Ole Miss. So I think that he does have a good shot to go out and get his players and be a team that gets into the playoffs once he does get his players. And once they get into the playoffs, they're a team that nobody's going to want to see. But who do you have at this spot, Pete?
So right here, we flipped again. I got Lane Kiffin here. Like you said, man, I like Lane a lot. I like Hugh a lot, but I like Lane too. The reason why I like Lane, he's always gonna try. Like he's not gonna just accept losing. He's gonna try things. He's gonna be creative, and I think he'll always have his team in position to be good because he's kind of like that sleazeball guy. Heck, we'll find some money to throw at you. Like we're gonna get our roster where it needs to be. He's always gonna have his team in the conversation. And like you said, it's just a matter of can he avoid choking in the big game, actually over that hump. Remains to be seen. Hasn't done it to this point, but I got him at 7 right here, or 6.
Okay. So at number 5, I've got Mike Elko, who is 6-9 overall as a head coach, 1-0 in bowl games, but he did that at Duke, ladies and gentlemen. That is very difficult to do, and I think that he has a beautiful scheme. He's more of a defense coach, but man, I mean their offensive scheme has looked really good. He also coached at Texas A&M before, so I personally think that he's going to go back there and get them rocking and rolling really quickly. Watch out for that team. But P, who do you have at the number 5 spot?
You called it, man. We flipped him. I got Brian Kelly here at 5. Yep, I got Brian Kelly at 5, man. He's a guy. I know a lot of people have him as like a 2 or 3 on their list. I think he's a kind of a fringe top 5 guy in my opinion. Just because as maybe underperforming as we think LSU is with the talent they have access to. His team's still kind of always right there. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what, they're kind of always right there. A chance to go to the SEC championship game. Like, they're always right there. So, I don't know, man. Like, he just finds a way. Maybe he's lucky. Luck of the Irish followed him down to Baton Rouge or whatever. But he finds a way to always have a solid team. So, I got him at 5.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Those are some really solid points. Now, at number 4 for me, I've got Steve Sarkisian, 71-49 as a head coach. And I believe that's just college. But he's 2-4 in ball games. Now, we know him from coaching with the Falcons. We talk about this all the time on this channel. He's a guy that your team is going to be good, okay? Like you're going to upset a team or two every single season, but whenever it counts, his team, for whatever reason, just fails. I think that he is a coach that might be a little bit too laid back. We talked about that. Is Coach Heupel too laid back? I think that Sark really is that dude. Like he's not, I don't think that he is. I'm sure at some point he's probably laid into somebody, but, he doesn't do it enough. So said all that just to say that he is a really good coach. I think that he can, out-coach most of the people in the entire country. But whenever it counts, and once, it's upper echelon teams, that's where I don't know if he can get over that hump at. And he's had a ton of talent since he came to Texas, even though he has turned it around significantly. I have to have him high up on the list, but not as high as the next coaches that we'll be talking about. P, who you got? Yeah, go ahead.
Whenever you chop this video up and you go and you get to the part where you're talking about him being laid back and then you're sure he's laid into somebody one time, I got a clip I'm gonna send you.
Okay.
Right before Texas played somebody, and you can tell he has that football crazy to him. Somebody put their hand on him and he just freaking just snapped on the guy like. I gotta see the clip. Yeah, I gotta see the clip. Hilarious. Okay. But now right here at 4, man, that's a controversial take. I tried to go, with my head, not my heart, but I got freaking Heupel right here. Okay.
Okay.
I got Heupel here. Didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. obviously he's coming to Tennessee, took over the roster that he inherited, the situation we're in, the sanctions, everything, Jeremy Pruitt, and turned that thing around overnight. Okay. Turned the thing around overnight, went out, immediately won a bowl game. I think we won 7 or 8 games his first year, whatever it was. Had the offense flying high. I mean, still didn't have really much talent on that roster. Like, we were very depleted, didn't have any depth. Had a pretty good start in 22, not much depth. He found a way to be creative, put these guys in position to win, which is very underrated when it comes to these coaches, putting these guys in the right position to be successful. And he did that. And then, we saw 2022 going out here and really should have won the whole thing. Had a chance to win the whole thing. Had a few unlucky breaks, which is going to happen, but he's done a great job building this roster up. We like where that defense is at compared to where it was when he arrived. He's added some pieces on the offensive side of the ball, continue to show that he can recruit, which is a big question coming into it.
Yeah.
Can he recruit? And he's done that at a pretty high level. And then, like I said, the defensive side of the ball, that was another question mark. And I think, like we said, he's really built that side of the ball up. And we almost like defense better than the offense heading into this season. So
yeah,
he's shown he can adjust. He knows the SEC is different than where he came from at UCF. And so he's really trying to get his team ready to go win. So I like him a lot. I just think for me, I couldn't really put him ahead of guys that had already made it to the playoff yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
He's got to get there. So until he does that, I got him right here at 4.
Yeah, so I actually have him at number 3. And really, I probably could have flipped him and Sark. The only reason that I didn't is because Heupel inherited a big mess. And his team has, he's had a team as good as Sark's team was this past season, right? That's just for me personally. And he did it like pretty much, I don't want to say it was nothing, but he just did not have the level of talent that Steve Sarkisian has had. So that's why I had Heupel at number 3. He just, he's able to do a lot more with less. But at the same time, same thing like we talked about with Sark and several other coaches on this list. He's got to be able to get over that hump. He's got to prove to me that he can win all the games that this team is supposed to win, because so far he's lost the game almost every single season that we should not have lost. And I don't want to hear, like whatever, anybody going down or locker room issues. That just shouldn't happen. If it's a team that we should beat, we need to be beating them. So this is kind of this season is going to tell me a lot about Coach Heupel. Right? Like, can he get us to the promised land? And I'm not even saying that we necessarily have to make it to a national title this season, but can we at least beat the teams that we're supposed to beat? How do we perform out on the road? That's another thing that he hasn't done the best with. So those are my question marks. And that's why, honestly speaking, I don't have him higher up on this list, because I would have. Now, P, who do you have at number 3?
At 3, I got DeBoer here.
Okay.
Had some success in Indiana, and then similar to what we talked about with Heupel, he went to Washington, which, Washington was a solid team. They were much better off than we were when Heupel came in, but was able to kind of take that team that hadn't really done a ton and go out there and take them to the national championship. I think they won like 21 games in a row or something while he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Now he did have an older team, so he had a lot of 26-year-old guys, 25-year-old guys. I think the quarterback Penix was like a 6-year guy or something like that, 5th, 6-year guy. So had an older team, but was able to have success, showing that he can do it offensively. Seems like he has a nice system in place. Guys know what to do. Guys are in that position. Just like he's a very organized coach. And so, I got him at number 3 here.
Yeah, so I actually have him at number 2, 104, 12. He's 104 and 12 as a head coach. That right there speaks volumes, okay? He knows how to win. That's just what it is. And P, you just said all that. He's 2-1 in bowl games. Now, that right there gives him a big edge for me. Like, even though it's only 3 bowl games, for you to be more on the winning side in that, that just really says that he's a really good coach. Now, is he going to be Nick Saban? I'm not going to say that, but I am going to say, we've got to be careful with him. And I think that this is going to be a very important year for us to be beating Alabama, to make sure that we can kind of, scave off any other players that might be wanting to go there, because we cannot let them continue to build off of what, Nick Saban left, because we're going to be in trouble for a very long time. But yeah, so I've got him at number 2. P, who do you have?
Yeah. I got Sark. Here too. I think he kind of inherited Texas. They were a solid team. I think he wasn't great his first season or two, but it kind of seemed like just kind of overnight that thing flipped, and now they have that roster. These guys play hard. He's got an explosive offense. Arguably on paper, his offense, they got receivers. They got 3 or 4 quarterbacks that can go. They got running backs that can go.
And the offensive line looks crazy.
Yeah. I think his time in the SEC, being under Saban, he knows the type of guys he needs to go try to get. So he's getting those type of guys. He's running his type of scheme with it. He's putting his own flair and his own wrinkles to it. I like what he's done, man. He's a good recruiter. He's went out there and beat Saban last year and gave him hell the year before as well. in Austin, Texas. So I like Sark, man. I think he's kind of figured it out. Now, obviously, like I said, the big games, he seems to kind of sometimes he'll drop the ball there. But I mean, I think Alabama, Nick Saban was a big game. He had his team ready to play in those games. So is he a guy that can do that again this season? Can he get his team ready to go out there and play Kirby Smart, go out there and play, DeBoer and Bama? Can he get those guys ready for those games? But I like Sark, man. I think he's number 2 on this list.
Yeah, so I actually think that they played well in the big games in the regular season. I think that they're going to beat Georgia. I've said that early on, right? But what it's about the playoffs. I don't trust him in those situations. And, like we just said, Georgia coming down to Texas, they've got a tough schedule. The next guy for me, you got to put him at number 1, even though I hate to do it. It's Kirby Smart. He's 94-16. And he's also 9-2 in bowl games. Now, let me set this stage, P, because people just don't understand what's going on here. Georgia is a state that is absolutely loaded with talent. Like this state has, and I'm just going to tell you, per capita, like per square inch, there's a lot, like there's guys everywhere. Like it's more than anywhere else in the entire country. And I can promise you that, right? So all Georgia ever needed was a coach that was going to be willing to go out and, kind of like keep his players at home. And that's what Kirby did early on. And, he had success doing that, right? All he did was play bully ball versus, very weak SEC East. His schedules have been a joke, and they've been one of the luckiest teams that we've ever seen. Whenever they have to play up against somebody good, guys are getting hurt. Like their best players have gotten hurt. And anytime that they played up against a good football team that is, relatively healthy, they've lost. So I don't think that from an X's and O's scheme perspective, he's that good of a coach. He's not doing nothing special. It's, hey, we're going to find the best players. We're going to line up, play straight up and down, sound fundamental football, and we're going to beat you because you can't out talent us. That's just my thoughts with him. And I think that this list, like towards the end of the season, is going to look a lot different because Kirby Smart really is not that great of a coach. He just, inherited daggum gold mine, right? He's like those people on that show, where they're living on a freaking, whole bunch of oil. And now they're rich, but they're still, you know what I'm saying? But they're still who they are. That's who he is. But Pete, what do you think? I already know who you got at number 1, but let me know what you think about it.
Yeah, I didn't even write the number next to his name on my list. But hey, we gotta give it where it's due. Yeah. Everything you said is exactly right. Okay, inherited a gold mine. Georgia's been full of talent, but here's where I'll give him some credit. Like, and I think you and I, we both had experiences. Whether it was you in high school, or me on my freaking son's team last season. We've been on teams that were loaded with talent, but our coaches didn't really do anything with it. I think that he is. I feel like it's not as easy as people think to work a loaded roster. I mean, I know it sounds easy, but sometimes things can go wrong. So I think he's done a good job of managing that ship. He keeps it pretty tight. Now, obviously, they have a lot of off-field deals. He's drinking and driving, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, these guys, they understand like kind of the expectation, and he has them playing the right way. I think he coaches these guys the right way. They play hard. Like I said, I think his X and O's is kind of going to be his downfall. All it's going to take is a team like we saw off Ohio State, a team that can, we'll probably see with Sark this year, a team that can match up talent-wise, and that can scheme these guys up. I think that they're going to have their way with him all day long. I think he's always going to get out-coached by a team that's even close to his talent level. And as we continue to build our roster at Tennessee that way, we'll be able to handle him. But, but just get back to him. I think he's a good recruiter. Not hard to do when you have all talent in your state, and then you got Florida to the south. You got South Carolina right above you. You got Alabama next to you. You got Tennessee. I mean, you got everywhere you want. You know what I'm saying? So, he inherited a gold mine, but tough not to put him at number 1 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, P, I feel like Tennessee's roster is definitely getting closer. It's not there with Georgia by any means, but Texas, they are up there, and that I think Texas is. I wouldn't be surprised with that game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas kind of handle them. You know what I'm saying? Like Texas beat them by 2-3 scores. You know what I mean? Something like that. And, once those types of things start to happen, hopefully for us, they will continue to see that downward spiral having to, face Alabama. I think that they play Alabama earlier in the season than they play Texas, and then Ole Miss, and then they've got to see us. But, yeah, I've got Georgia losing 3 to 4 games this season, and I think that that's going to hurt Georgia long term. And I think that their reign of dominance is already over. right? We've got to go through the season for us to really be able to see it, but I think that it's over. So that's going to be it for this video, though, y'all. Thank y'all so much for sticking all the way to the end. I know that we covered a whole lot of topics. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. Please let us know y'all's thoughts down in the comments section. And for those of y'all that did donate, thank you so much. It helps us out tremendously as we are still continuing to try to grow. And everything that is donated to the channel, we are going to put right back into the channel so that we can bring y'all much better content, again, as we are continuing to grow. But as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.